Out to the Eastern Cape, where the distribution of social relief vouchers by the Buffalo City Metro has triggered a mass shopping spree across the metro over the weekend. Now, the crowding at some shops and outlets forced the authorities to then intervene. The Mdantsane City Mall was even temporarily closed to ensure sufficient safety measures are in place. The city will now spread the distribution of vouchers over a longer period to prevent a similar rush. Let's cross now to Yanga Funani in King William's Town. Yanga, it seems behind you, though, that shoppers are still scurrying along and social distancing still not necessarily the order of the day.
A very good afternoon to you, Arabile, and to the scores of our audiences. You are coming to us live indeed from King William's Town, where the queues are still extending despite the fact that they have been asked to reduce the queues. If you look behind us, you will see that it is really a twist of tales stretching beyond what a mortal eye could possibly see. This as people have been forced by hunger to come redeem the vouchers, which are really 750 rands. You'll remember that the metro has at least 50 wards. Now, each ward has had at least 800 beneficiaries, which means that from 50 times 8, that will surely give us at least 40,000 beneficiaries. The process itself hasn't been without flaws, as some of the people are complaining that the councillors have engaged in dishonesty. But to tell us more about that, we are now joined by the spokesperson of the Metro, which is Usamkelo Ngwenye. Mbehle, a very good afternoon to you, and thank you very much for joining us. Tell us, we see that these queues are still long, despite the fact that you have raised complaints that there should be social distancing. Tell us about the interventions that are to ensure that there is social distancing and people unaffected or infected with coronavirus.
Thank you, Yanga. What we've done is to ensure that we cover all our people. Remember, by each ward we are targeting 800 people. But based on the influx that we saw, our teams have decided that we must process 200 people per day. So as things stand right now, we are ensuring that all the shops are practicing social distances, and there's also hygiene in every shop. We've got our teams on the ground all over Buffalo City to make sure that that is adhered to. Of course, it is very difficult, and one must remember there are people who are coming from villages. But across the city, the process itself is going smoothly, albeit some of the challenges that we are facing.
Now, we saw over the weekend queues in Mdantsane City and other malls which are scattered across the metro. Update us on that.
What we've done is our disaster management team, together with the South African National Defence Force and the South African Police Services, have visited those hotspot areas. On Friday, we had to close down Mdantsane City Mall based on the numbers that we saw, and interrogate with the mall management to try and make sure that everyone understands that we all need to uphold the act. So all the hotspot areas have been identified. Out of Buffalo City, of the 50 wards, we've got 3 hotspot areas, and King William's Town has been one of them. So where it needs be, we intervene and we ensure that businesses are holding their part. But also we are expecting people to also try and meet us halfway in the process.
Okay. Other communities such as Ward 39, particularly Kingsburg, have raised complaints about the processes which lead to actually the awarding of vouchers. And they also complain about councillors who are keeping food parcels in their houses. As the Metro, have those complaints come to you guys, and what are you doing about them?
Prior to the executive mayor announcing the program that it commences last week Friday, we've been receiving some complaints, and what we've done is that the office of the speaker, Councillor Mtsi, has met with 14 identified councillors whose wards have had complaints, and we've resolved those. But over and above, as there are still allegations that we are coming across, and we are urging members of the community that as much as the voucher system progress is continuing, we still have an ear to listen to try and resolve each and every one of them. Those that fear victimization, we've got a fraud hotline. So each and every complaint, we're taking it seriously, because at the end of the day, this program that Buffalo City is doing is an intervention to ensure that we put food on the table and we alleviate poverty from our people. So we are not taking any chances around issues of fraud and corruption, and we will investigate each and every case that we come across.
Talking about fraud and corruption, how much has been put for this exercise, and how is the Metro monitoring it as to ensure that people with long fingers do not actually steal from the poor during this period?
The first thing we did was to ensure that we don't use money. So there is no exchange of money that is taking place. We're using a voucher system, and that system is linked to one's identity document. So when a person comes in to buy, they're using their identity document. I think that for us helps us with the administration of the process. Secondly, we've ensured that at all material times we are keeping the scores and tallies with the shops, so none of our councillors are holding to any monies. And thirdly, one of the most important things is that the voucher system allows people to buy what they need, so that people are not confined to particular foods or things that they're supposed to buy. So from that point of view, we should be in a better position to monitor the whole influx and how we're managing people. And we're hoping that, because so far we've done 50% of the wards in Buffalo City, and we're hoping that the program, every day we are meeting, we are making changes. Initially we were doing all 800, but now we've kept it to 200. So our interventions are aimed at making sure that we curb fraud and corruption and any chance takers, because you remember there are people who are also not on the list, but we're also saying that those that are not covered on this program must raise their hands, especially if they qualify.
Lastly, Mpetle, how long is this period going to take? And if people, I understand that you have reduced the number to 200 people per day. How long is the process going to take? And if it doesn't necessarily cater for all those who are allocated the vouchers, are there going to be any extensions?
You must remember, each store is different. The 200 is to help us manage the congestions. So in each and every store, we are saying the 200 is going to assist us to say people do not have to rush. One of the things that we've done is we've allowed the vouchers not to expire. So we are urging our people, you don't have to flock and panic and rush to the shops. We've got so much time for you to actually get what you want. But each and every store we're discussing with management. In this particular one, there's going to be a meeting this afternoon to assess in terms of the 200 people. Remember, this must tally also with the taxis that are only allowed to drive at a particular time period. So at the end of the day, as a city, each and every, in a suburb area, for an instance, is a totally different system. In a rural area, you must take into account that people are coming from far. They need to use taxis. Taxis are available after 4, and you look at the numbers. But the 200 is to actually help us to manage people, and most importantly, to make sure that people do not panic. Because one of the things that is causing the congestion is that people are panicking that they're going to run out of food. And we're saying that we've made preparations with all the stores. No one is going to miss out who's on the system. So our people just need to take their time and come through the stores as they've been directed.
Thank you very much for your time, sir. And that's, of course, the spokesperson of this vast metro, Buffalo City Metro, Samkelo Ngwenya, telling us about the measures they've put in place to ensure that this process is transparent and caters for all those who need the food to survive. These lines may not make sense to those who are in a position of privilege, but for a person moving from poverty to poverty, they surely do. The least they can do, they say that they are going to put in place measures to ensure that there is social distancing. From us here in King Williamstown, it's back to you, Arabila, in studio.
Yanga Funani, thank you so much for that. But indeed, the plight of many South Africans, particularly in poor and disadvantaged areas, is clearly plausible, and one can tell the seriousness of it. We certainly urge them as best as possible to first look after themselves, and the rest, we hope, will then be taken care of as well.